All right, so good morning, everyone. So thank you for coming to my panel. This is actually my first solo panel. This is for con survival. So the most important thing about this to take with this is how to plan for it, how you can do what you can do during the con, and what to do after the con. So I usually break it up into 3 modules. So before the con, there's going to be preparation going on, say allocating time and money. During the con, we talk about time and money as well. We have to manage it too. Etiquette and also networking is important. And also after the con, so we fight the con blues, the con crud, also what if you want to plan for another con, for example. So preparing to schedule for a con, so it depends on which con you want to look for. Okay, so but if you're not familiar with it, usually what I do is I go for a smaller size. Okay, so location's another important thing. I prefer that if you're not too comfortable with bigger cons, all right, obviously go to a smaller one, but if you don't want to go too far, look for something local. I also look at feedback as well. Is the con really good? Is it organized, etc.? Also, you have to budget enough time and money. So setting aside, what I tell people is if you do get paychecks, I say about 10%, but it's up to you. Usually the earlier you start putting money in, the more money you'll actually set aside when you go to the con. And also, another way of doing it is to set a certain amount of money every week consistently. There is an app called Twine, Twine. So that one, it will automatically take money out from your savings or checking. It will go to a dedicated account. So it's also important to be very proactive. All right, you have to prepare for anything that can come up, so such as like if you get injured or something like that, or if you have to do an Uber, for example, if you're in a rush or something. Estimate how much you're going to spend. So think of, if I have to get like my latest action figure or whatnot, budget it, take that into account. What I do is I keep track of every single cent and dollar. On the next slide, I'll explain. All right, and also avoid reactionary or impulse spending. I'll explain how to do that. So this is on June 8th, June 9th this year at Anime Next. So as you can see here, I do the times here. On the bottom, this is where I keep track of how much money I spent, that's in minus, and the plus is how much money I earned. Anime Expo has one example of a budget spreadsheet you can work from, but you tailor it to how you're comfortable with. So another thing, if you found the con, you want to go there, now you have to find a place to stay. It's important to book early because you save money. Good morning. It's important to book early because you save money and the rooms will be available. If you wait a little bit longer, you may not find the room. So that's something you'd be concerned about. So Derpycon, for example, actually provided hotel blocks. So that's something to look into as well. You can also shop around for hotels. Now, other hotels, you can do Airbnb as well, but also, of course, always check the reviews and feedbacks. Know your check-in and check-out times, because what happens is that if you go in too early before the check-in, you may not put your stuff away and all that. If you miss your checkout time, you might have to spend more money to cover for another day. And consider quality and distance. So I like to be as close as I can, but also make sure it's all clean. I don't want you to get sick, so you gotta make sure. Also, my tip is maximum 5 people. If you want to do more, that's great, but you're basically rolling the dice. You don't want to go too much where it's going to be a mess. Also, find out if they have free bag and coat checks. Some cons, they would charge you. I know New York Comic Con, they would charge you, I think, $4 or something. I don't remember. I don't use it, so. Planning for transportation. It's very important you budget extra time, all right, because you never know what's going to happen. Get to know your schedules downloaded on your phone, okay? Google Maps is great, but you have to have your schedules as well. You have to go through the official website of the transit carriers going on. Okay, you have to find different ways to get there. Also keep paper and electronic tickets. God forbid if your phone dies. All right. Flying. So it's the most expensive. Usually you do that for really far away places. So shop around for deals and different options. Kayak.com goes to all the different sites such as Cheap Tickets, CheapOair, and so on. Skyscanner, it is very specific because it can have you choose which airport you want to leave and whatnot. So as with in many cases, book early and fly on the busiest time. So basically, if possible, avoid the weekend. Okay, of course, bring all your important documents. So if you need to go international, get your passport, of course. Always have a government photo ID, state ID. All right, research on what to carry and check. I will actually go more into detail on that. So, sharp objects, you gotta be careful with that. You gotta research before you actually fly. Sometimes even when you have stores of different props for the cosplay, you might have to have it shipped separately. And the rule of thumb that I got from my mom is arrive at gate 2 hours. Yep, for domestic 2 hours before the flight's gonna leave, or international 3 hours. Long distance trains and buses, so the Greyhounds, your Amtraks, or the commuter rails like New Jersey Transit. It's cheaper, but of course it's a little time consuming. Like you do it all, as always, prepare for round trip itineraries. I always tell people, this is more with Amtrak and Greyhound, or with the mega buses, arrive about 30 to 60 minutes, all right? As I said many times, bring all important documents. Another important tip is, hello, good morning. If the con is about less than 300 miles away, I don't recommend flying, all right? The other tip is if the flight is about 2 hours, I tend not to recommend it because it's a little bit more expensive, but it's up to you. Public transportation, so like the MTA, for example, it's easier, convenient, and cheaper, so you don't have to worry too much about the schedules, but you still have to study them anyway. And of course, you have to know how to pay the fares. So again, research before you do anything. And as I've stated before, have different ways to get around. God forbid if there is a transit issue or whatnot. Driving, so more freedom, but you got a whole lot more responsibility to take care of. I know this sounds obvious, but always get your car checked before you leave. You don't want to have any breakdowns in the middle of the road, and then you might be late for work or something like that, or late for school. So the tip, every 3 hours or 100 miles, or how comfortable you are, stretch, take a break, or if someone needs to use the bathroom. If you're carpooling, if you're a passenger, you got a tip, all right? And for all the tolls and gases, you got to split amongst yourselves, all right? And driver chooses the music. Driver needs to stay awake so you don't get into an accident. So we talk about the transportation. Now we're gonna do cosplay planning. So con crunching, we all do it. I'm guilty of it. It's better that you don't do it, but if you're busy like me, I tend to do it anyway, but practice makes perfect. You have to research the dress code and weapons policy. That's right. You have a question or no? Oh. And plan how to put it together. So you have to have set goals, and you have to have a time frame on how you're going to complete a cosplay if you want to make a cosplay from scratch. I tend to buy it because I have no time. And so set your goals and start with what you have. You save money that way, obviously. Now, I'm dressed up as Aizawa. I dressed up as the formal one, so I already have the tie and the shirt and the pants. All I needed was to buy I have the canon one, the hero costume, but I only used the scarf and the wig. And always cost test, because it's better if it breaks or if it rips before the con, so you can fix it. So the week before the con, get everything together. Prepare a travel checklist. Geeksgathering.com, it's on the next slide. It'll have a slide on the list of things to prepare for. Get your clothes and costumes ready for packing. Download the app if the con has an app for it. I know this one has a guidebook app. So when it comes to scheduling, don't overextend yourself. All right, so you download the schedule, but pre-prepared, some things may cancel. All right, also download the con venue maps. Derpycon actually provides it, so that's one step taken out. Have your travel itinerary ready, so always, and also set your alarm when to wake up and when to leave home. We've done that this morning, Mom and I did it. So this is the list. So you can actually do just geeksgathering.com, you can search it. The most important thing to take away with it is you gotta have deodorant. I don't wanna smell your BO, okay? Don't be stinky, all right? So, of course, bring your medications, bring your battery packs, of course, your phones, all right? So, you may not find an outlet. I mean, lucky enough, we have a few outlets here. Emergency contact info, I have that in my planner. I always have a water bottle because I'm always dehydrated. So those are just a few things. And in addition, the documents such as tickets, the badges, travel hotel info, as I said, gotta print it and have an electronic version of it. So Cosplay Repair Kit, the best way to do, a good start for it is to get one at an arts and crafts store such as Michael's or Blick. But this is just the list here. So the most important thing is to have thread in case if something rips, Velcro, glues, tapes, stain removers, wig brush, those kinds of things. But so thriftynerd.com actually has a cosplay emergency repair kit you can look over. So first aid kit. You don't have to do too crazy. It depends on the cosplay. It depends on where you're going. All right. I have bandages in my bag, but if God forbid there's a high risk of getting injured, you always have to have a roll of gauze, tape, some alcohol pads, tweezers. All right. So you also antibiotic ointments, so Neosporin or bacitracin, for example. And hygiene, as I stated before, you gotta take a shower before you go to the con. I don't want to smell your stinkiness. All right, you gotta shower, bathe. You gotta brush your teeth. I don't want to smell your breath. All right, put deodorant on. If you do cough, do this. Cover with your elbow. Always wash your hands or have Purell. Okay, and make sure your clothes are clean. Now, we're now transitioning to being in the con. So you have to arrive super early. Once I arrive on the train or the plane, I go right away, get the badges. Okay, and then after that after that you can just put the stuff for coat check or bag check. All right. So of course stay hydrated. You'll be walking a lot, so I don't want you to pass out. And always reevaluate where you want to go on the schedule as well. You have to prioritize simply because there will be some panels where they might close a little early on the line because they reach capacity. So you have to watch out for that. And as I stated before, do not overextend yourself. You got to have breaks, and you gotta have backup plans. Now, for example, I was in New York Comic Con. They refused me to enter at a Samantha Bee panel. So I was a little upset, but I had a backup plan. So in most cons have some sort of combination of it. Now there's a dealer's room and artist alley. For Derpycon, they have a combination of that. Of course, we have panels, autographs, photo shoots. There's a dance tonight. Okay, I believe there's a contest as well. Now, during the con, there's a 5-2-1 or 5-3-1 rule. I prefer the 5-3-1 rule. All right, so you have to have at least 5 hours of sleep a day. You gotta eat. Okay, energy drinks do not count. You'll get really hyper and then you crash. All right, and of course, you gotta take a shower. So, we're gonna sum it up a little bit. The main thing of attending a con is to have fun. You gotta be positive, okay? Get the negativity out the window. All right, keep your schedule realistic, balanced, and flexible. So again, be prepared. Guidebook actually has a little reminder, like a little alarm they'll tell you 15 minutes in advance or more. Wear comfortable shoes because you will be walking a lot. And I said, keep track of your money. All right, if you're tired, if you feel as though you feel overwhelmed, always try to look for quiet, safe spaces, and always take a step back and breathe. Question?
In terms of quiet, safe spaces, there's this place behind the stairs.
Yeah.
You can just go and sit.
All right, very good. So some cons, they would have they would have like a lounge. I know New York Comic Con does that. Now I'm not sure about this one, but any place where, as you said, where it's quiet and it's secluded from the big crowds. So, money. So you want, a lot of things are so expensive. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
So ask yourself before making a purchase. A lot of stuff are very expensive. So you gotta ask yourself these 6 questions. Number 1, why am I here? I'm here to buy this figurine that it debuted. How do I feel? I feel excited. I want to buy this one. Do I need this? Well, I love this character so much. What if I wait? Maybe the price will go down? Who knows? How do I pay for it? With my cash? With my credit card? Am I gonna be in debt a lot? And where will I put this thing? So very important, always ask yourself these questions before making a purchase. I ended up barely buying anything. So CNBC actually has a video on YouTube, just put CNBC money disorders. Etiquette is important, all right? Cosplay is not consent, all right? Very important. Keep your hands to yourself, all right? You gotta respect each other, be polite, and when you do take pictures or video, ask permission. If they say no, it's a no, move on. If someone wants to take a picture of you and you don't feel comfortable, you say no, you move on, okay? And please be careful with people's possessions and costumes. They may break, so always be aware of your surroundings. And do not surprise or do sneak attacks. I got what we call glommed. I had a friend of mine who said, I was Minato, I was Naruto's dad. It went, woof, like that, no. And I got scared, my wig came off. So, please be careful. Some people get panic attacks over it now. I'm okay, but it was a little embarrassing with the wig to come off. So, in the event that someone is harassing you, you stand up, all right? You talk to the person, you state and address the behavior. There are people where they don't even realize. A lot of them, it's unintentional. Tell that person it's wrong, needs to stop. And try to stay away and ignore the person and be with a group of friends. So that's your layer of security. If this persists, I take a picture of the person and I report it to security or police, and I have this issue addressed ASAP. So another thing, all right, if you want to take photos, don't go in areas where there's high traffic volume, so stay away from it. You want to be on the side, and you don't want to block anybody from going for where they need to go. Now in Derpycon, it's not as a big deal. Near Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con, or Katsucon, you might deal with these things. So cosplay judging, only for contests. All right, no one's perfect. Okay, Aizawa Canon usually has a hero outfit. I'm dressed up as a formal Aizawa. So it's an art. Art is subjective. It's about recognizing the character. Okay, there are different ways to cosplay and people. Now for different kinds of cosplay, I always tell people to compliment because they put the effort in whether they buy it or not. All right. And I would give suggestions if there's something that's maybe out of line. Okay, you say it really nicely. Just say it as be supportive. All right, and not everyone's a pro at being cosplay. I'm not. I'm a pharmacist in real life, and you got to respect their effort and their art, as I said. So, reason why I say art is subjective. We join 2 different characters. So basically, 2 different animes in this case. So Team Rocket joining the Akatsuki. So, and one person actually doing half Naruto, half Sasuke, and there are different ways to dress up as Sasuke. So all in all, cosplay positivity, I found this on Amino apps. I think it just sums it up all together. No matter how tall or how short, how skinny, how big, no matter what your weight, your height, no matter your race, your gender, your age, your skill level, You can cosplay whoever you want, and you can look amazing doing it. I think I look amazing, all right? And in the end, we all love fiction. We all love the anime. We all love characters. We all love to be nerds in costumes. So we got to end the hate, and it starts with all of you. So another thing that's really important with cons is networking. You never know, you know. So the more friends you have, you might have more opportunities for other things as well. This is one of the few places where I'm able to make friends, and for also a lot of people as well, because we're a little socially awkward. At least for me, I'm autistic, so I struggle with that. But when we have like similar interests, we tend to feel comfortable. We tend to feel confident. So you also not just make friends, you exchange info and ideas. Who knows, that person may have a position for you for a job. It could be something else. But when it comes to networking, be respectful, be honest, and also straightforward. So again, share your interests and passions. What I do at the end of the panels, I always speak to the speakers. All right, and I also exchange contact info. By the way, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Wild Goldine. All right, and so you'll see all my cosplay stuff and all that. So practice, 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 practice. I always like to have a script or a system like, hi, how are you? My name is Dean, or I'm dressed up as Aizawa. What do you like? All right, I always keep notes and reminders. So if I make a mistake or something, I'll just remind myself, good morning, hello. Keep in mind, not everyone will want to befriend you, okay? Don't worry, it's not your fault. Don't always blame yourself for that. But at the same time, don't take advantage of anyone, and don't let anyone take advantage of you. And don't blow up their phone. Don't blow up their feed or their phone, whether it's on Instagram or WhatsApp or on their text messages. All right, it's good to communicate, but don't just don't spam their feed. So tips. So again, common interests, online groups and forums. So some icebreakers. Again, greet, introduce each other, and ask questions. So have they been to this con before? I think this is my second one. So any anime, any ships you like, also any help and advice, whether it's cosplay or how to get around. All right, also compliment, always compliment, be positive. So common places, as you know already, meetups, panels, even lines. So photo shoots, parties, etc. By the way, that's me over there on the right, just right to the left of Toga, with the teeth over there. So I wasn't doing very well. that was in your Comic-Con. All right, con parties and dances. So who's 21 or older? Open your ears. We're gonna have a talk. All right. Limit your alcohol intake. I'll explain. I'll actually go into a little bit in detail with the alcohol. No illicit drugs, no smoking, no vaping. All right. Don't mix alcohol with medications. Okay. What I tell people is to have a full meal before partying. What happens is when you do drink, the absorption gets a little bit slower rather than just going all quick and then you just knock out. Don't give in to peer pressure, okay? You're there to have a good time, okay? Be positive. Always go with friends, and also don't overdo it. Just like with scheduling, don't overdo it. Don't overextend yourself. So, we all learned, yes, limit alcohol intake to 1 to 2 glasses a day. What do you mean a glass? I actually got my doctorate 6 years ago. I tell people to drink 1 to 2 glasses. It actually depends on you. All right, so I don't know how much alcohol this person is drinking. So this is what 1 glass equals to, according to the CDC, is 0.6 ounces of pure alcohol. Those 12 ounces, 5 ounces, 1.5 ounces can all be 1 glass. So, 1 glass is very ambiguous simply because you can have different volumes or different concentrations. So the daily limit, 1 glass of alcohol for women per day and 2 for men. Why is that? Because men tend to have higher metabolism rates. Who gets no alcohol? Obviously, people who are younger than 21. If you're pregnant, if you're nursing, if you're a designated driver, and if you're taking medications. So this is the equation I made up. Yeah, that's right. So you measure the amount to drink in ounces. A rule of thumb, an adult fist is one serving, which is about 4 ounces. 2 thumbs is 1 ounce. So keep that in mind. And multiply that by the percentage of alcohol, and you'll find that in the bottle. You divide that by 100, and that's the ounces of pure alcohol. Now, again, for women, 0.6 ounces of pure alcohol per day. And men, you double that, 1.2. If you see proof, you divide it by 2, you get your percentage. So, get your calculators out. I'm gonna give you a minute to solve this. You know, I had a bad week this week. I worked so hard. I decided to go to a bar and I drank 8 ounces of Hennessy, 40% of pure alcohol. So the question is, how much pure alcohol did I drink? Before you calculate, did I drink too much? Who said yes? Raise your hand. Who said no? Raise your hand. You're right. Did you do the math? This is how I did it. 8 ounces. I drank 8 ounces and multiply that by 40% of pure alcohol. I drank more than double for myself, 3.2 ounces of pure alcohol. So it's just a math equation. But in real life, I've never done it. All right. But if the person had a full meal, maybe they wouldn't get the effects of it compared to someone who has an empty stomach. But still, it doesn't matter how much contents you have in your stomach. 3.2 ounces of pure alcohol, that's a lot. So, after the con, I know, I'm sad when the con ends. I usually attend a feedback session or a panel. If you're not able to do it, I usually email them the feedback. So with the friends you make, the new friends you make, maintain contact info, always keep in touch. So just don't overload them with messages. I share pictures and positive experiences on Instagram as well. And also, if you want, you can plan for the next con event. Most likely you would. So I'm also going to talk a little bit about post-con blues and depression. And for a lot of people, it's mostly normal and temporary. What I like to do is focus on something positive. So I would look back at the things I did in the con. I like to talk to friends and family. When you're going back to work, try not to stretch yourself. Diet and exercise is important. So eating a healthy meal and going out, you can release all that negative energy. I like to look forward to another con. That's what I would do. Also, I have a friend who does private cosplay meetups. You can look it up all over Facebook for that. If you're still sad, seek professional help. I actually see a therapist once a week. So I've been doing this since 2nd grade. There is an app called the BetterHelp app. This you can do actually without going to a clinic. You can actually have group sessions on your phone. You can have unlimited text, and there are pricing plans there as well. So we're also going to talk about con crud. That's when you get sick, all right, during or after the con because of all the diseases that you had to share, especially when you don't cover your mouth. So this happens a lot because poor hygiene, poor sleep, poor diet. Maybe you drank too much. When you're interacting with so many people, or all of that could cause a compromised immune system. So how to treat it? Gotta rest. Fluids, no alcohol. Doesn't matter how much pure alcohol you want to drink, all right? Especially when you're taking with Tylenol. Tylenol, alcohol don't mix very well. It could damage your liver. So Tylenol and Advil and Motrin, use that for pain or fever. Motrin or Advil, you gotta take with food, or else you might have some stomach irritation or stomach bleeding, which it happens with a lot where people, especially if you're older. Cough drops for sore throats. For vitamin C, what I do is once I get sick, I do 2,000 milligrams in the morning and 2,000 milligrams at night for days 1 and 2, and then starting on day 3, you taper off and you start going, you can do 1 tablet, actually not 1 tablet, so it's like 1,000 twice a day, and then you go to 500 twice a day. If you get dizziness, if you feel nauseating, you can do meclizine. The brand name you see is Antivert, you'll see that, and also Dramamine. If you have coughs, guaifenesin is for wet coughs. Wet coughs are the ones where you had to spit out all the mucus. Dextromethorphan, you'll see that in Robitussin DM as well. That's usually used for dry coughs. For allergies, if you have antihistamines, your Benadryls, you're gonna get knocked out after you're taking Benadryl. So but a lot of people like me, I take Allegra. Claritin, Zyrtec you can take as well. So take home messages. Plan early, be organized. Be proactive, watch what you're spending. Be positive. You're there to have fun, all right? Make friends, you take care of your health, you respect each other, and stay nerdy. So any questions? I don't know how much time we have here. Any experiences you want to share? Yes. You weren't expected to be, I thought you raised your hand.
It's like this awkward thing I do where I kind of raise my hand, but I put it back in. That's not
Don't be shy, it's okay.
I don't have a lot of friends, and I'm not sure how to make friends at a convention at all.
So you start off where, for example, like, what do you like? Yeah, it's fine. It's okay. So any other questions? So I actually have extra stuff. I actually only did 30 minutes of it. So, there are different vitamins here, so I know it's a lot of it. So the reason why I go over it is because you have to take care of yourself. So, again, sodium is important, but you don't want to have too much, for example, because it may cause your blood pressure to go up. And zinc is important for immunity as well. All right, probiotics is important, especially when you're taking antibiotics, for example. There's also different vitamins as well. So what I do, that health.harvard.edu, they have a whole list of it. So there's melatonin for sleep. You have trouble sleeping, for example, and that's all the medications that you have for first aid kit, for first aid treatments. You don't have to have all of it, but that's just if you want to get over prepared and all that. Another thing that I want to talk about is called spoon theory. So basically, energy is used like money, so you have to use it wisely. So if you're going to do an action or do something, you're gonna lose spoons. If you take breaks or you have a good night's sleep, you gain spoons. It's as simple as that. So Christine Miserando actually, I think, has lupus. So it started out where they were in at a diner with a friend, and she said, I can only do this much. So when they were eating, she used spoons for it. So what I tell people is, if you're not sure how much spoons you want to start, I always tell people to start at 20. All right, so and this one is more with people with chronic illnesses. Autism's one of them. Some people have trouble trying to exert, and who have trouble trying to use their energy. It's for people with depression or whatnot. So obviously the harder the task, the more spoons you're going to need to spend. So what I like to do is, when it comes to that, keep it simple, round it to the nearest whole spoon. All right. The problem is, if you run out of spoons early, you're going to borrow from tomorrow, and you're not going to be able to do what you need to do the next day. But everyone has different levels of stamina, and everyone's different. So what one person can spend on one spoon, the other person may spend maybe 3 or 4 spoons. All right, the most important thing is to maximize and optimize the use of spoons. So, wow, I actually finished a little fast. So that's actually my extra information. So any other questions? All right, that's it. So, if nothing, so thank you for attending. This is my first panel. So I hope to continue improving on all that.